Hey there. Okay, welcome. Sorry, I'm a minute late getting started here. I had to reboot my computer. Jeez, something was all wackadoodle about it. There we go. Okay, welcome. Okay, Zoom is filtering you in. Okay. Hi, Angela. Hey, Tracy. Hey there. Amy. Hi. Welcome. Oh, thank you for returning. I don't know if you saw my post yesterday, but excuse me, I did forget to record yesterday's class. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is just re-record it sometime maybe. Next time I do a presentation on actions. That's the juicy part of our model too. Well, there it's all juicy stuff. It's all good. So, um, just to recap what we've been talking about this week, let me know if you can see me and hear me in the comments. That would be fantastic if you're here live. Okay, thanks, Angela. Okay, so this week we have been making more money using the model. Okay, 5 steps. There are only 5 things in the whole world. There's 5 different categories. We can put anything in these categories. Anything in the world fits in these categories. It helps my disorganized mind organize things. And I appreciate this so much, right? Um, so Monday we talked about circumstances, and circumstances are all the things outside of ourselves, all the things that we um, can't control, the things that are happening, right? The weather, other people, uh, just things like facts that anyone in the world could agree on, right? And then we have thoughts about them or our story about them. So, really separating out circumstances from facts, that was one of the first things I ever figured out through life coaching. The one of the first things that ever just catapulted everything that I ever believed or thought about anything into a whole different dimension. Because I thought so many of my thoughts were simply circumstances. And when I recategorized them and I could separate that out, my life expanded exponentially. It used to be like I used to hear so much about toxic, I call it toxic positivity, right? Like, oh, silver lining thoughts. You have to be happy about this crappy situation. But no, when you separate it out, you see that there's a situation, you have thoughts about it that make you feel crappy. Okay. And sometimes we want to feel certain ways. Sometimes we want to experience those emotions that we may consider crappy, that we may consider negative. Sometimes we want to feel sad. We want to feel disappointed. We want to feel grief sometimes, right? But understanding where that comes from takes back all of our power. So that's what we've been talking about this week. We separate out the circumstances from the thoughts. Our thoughts are simply the stories we have about our circumstance. It's really just a sentence in our brain. Okay. So, what is that thought creating? Thoughts create a chemical reaction in our body. That's what creates our feelings. Okay. So, we have circumstances, we have thoughts about those circumstances, which create our feelings, and our feelings fuel all of our actions or inactions in our life. Okay. You can, uh, do the same action from a feeling of like desperation. Since we're talking about making money this week, we're talking about people making offers to sell their services or their product or whatever it is out there, or maybe applying for a job or showing up at their work, right? So you could take the same action, the same words that you may say to a potential client, and you could take that action from a needy, graspy, kind of desperate energy. I have to sell this person. I need this person to buy from me so I can make my mortgage payment. We think we're hiding that. But there's an energetic BO that we put out there in the world when we're thinking a certain way and feeling a certain way. It comes out. in our energy around all the actions we take. And so all of the actions we take create the results in our lives. And when you can fully embrace and really see this clearly, this is a tool for awareness, never to beat ourselves up, right? Never to kind of shit on ourselves. Oh, look at your nasty thoughts you're having, all that. No, this is a tool for awareness. And when you can be completely aware and understand that you have created all the results in your life, then you can take ownership. Then you can make changes in your life and create a new result. Okay, so let me back up in case that you have never met me. I'm Melanie McNamara. I'm a certified life, weight, and mindset coach, and I help successful women and business entrepreneurs feel as good on the inside as their life looks from the outside. So many of my clients come to me and they're other people tell them how successful they are and how their life must be amazing, or looking at it from the outside, and on the inside they're just filled with either unfulfillment, or they're full of anxiety and self-doubt and lack of self-confidence. And that's what I help. That's what I coach on for the majority of the time. So, so today we are going to talk about results. Okay. Here's the thing. Results have no emotional charge. Results can only feel a certain way when you have a thought about them. Okay. Um, so when you are looking at the results, you have thoughts about them. Results are like circumstances. There should be no emotional charge. It's what we're thinking about them. Okay. Um, so what our results do is they reveal to us how we've been thinking. Okay. So we think, so say we have a goal, and we think that when we create that result, when we reach that goal, whatever it might be, either in our business, a certain money amount, maybe it's a number on the scale, maybe it's being in a relationship or something. When we think we've created that result, we think, oh, that result is going to make me feel great, confident, fulfilled, productive, whatever it might be. But I promise you, it's never the result. And how we can check this is we know that sometimes we may see a result in our life that we're like, oh, that's a crappy result, right? We have thoughts about it, that it's such a crappy result. Somebody else might see the result in our life and go, oh my gosh, that's so amazing that you created that. So it's always about how we're looking at it. Okay. So for example, thinking about like the last time maybe you bought a car, whether it was a brand new car and it had that new car smell, or you bought it used and you're like, this is my car. Maybe you felt proud, excited to drive your new car, polishing it up. You're taking really good care of it. And then over time, we start to think differently about our car, right? We may say we start to take it for granted, right? We lose all those thoughts that we had originally. Has nothing to do with the car. It's all about the way we're thinking about it. Okay. Um, so the way you feel about your results is 100% in your control. Okay. So the way you want to view the results in your life is by looking at them as simply information to evaluate, right? Look at your A line and see what have you been doing or not doing that is creating the results in your life. Okay. So look at your last 12 months, or look at the last month. Okay. I always like to evaluate every week and evaluate a lot of things. But for the purposes of this exercise, I want you to think about, so this week you were focused on something in particular, right? Whether it was your goal, whether it was a certain money goal or a client goal, or whatever it was, you want to start applying for new jobs or whatever your goal was. Okay. Look at what the result you have currently. What result have you created over the past month, right? Maybe it's X number of sales, or X number of clients, or transactions, or closings, or maybe the number in the bank account, all of those things. It's all neutral, right? Even if you have zero of all those things we just talked about, It's still neutral. You still get to decide what you want to make that mean. No results are still just information, right? If you have to take off any meaning whatsoever that you have placed on this result other than evaluating. Okay. We talked about yesterday, like the evaluation process, like the scientific method. What worked, what thoughts worked, what actions worked, what worked that maybe inactions that I said no, things I said no to, did that work towards creating this result? And then what didn't work? What thoughts was I thinking? What was my mindset that wasn't working? What actions was I taking or not taking? All of that. And then you decide, what will I do differently? It's very scientific when you take all the judgment out of it. Discernment is one thing, right? You have to discern activities. Are they creating the result you want? But judgment is a much more like harsh emotion. Like when we judge ourselves, we don't want that when we're looking at our results. Because here's the important thing I want to stress to you. Your thoughts about your current result create your next result. So the current results you have in your life, whatever it is you're looking at, whatever it is you have, everything around you is the result of something. This Sharpie pen was a result of me deciding I want to get some new pens to write on my board, right? Like I have my my application right here. Like the result of me going to the doctor, getting tests done, getting the medication, the chair I have, whatever it is. Like every single thing around you is the result of something in your life, a decision you've made. Okay. Um, and so how you feel about your results is going to dictate how you make decisions moving forward. Okay. Um, so think about maybe again, like the numbers in your result line, whatever those may be, or maybe you think about like your last networking event or your last appointment or the last marketing promotion you did. If you have a negative feeling because you have some thoughts about that thing moving forward, it's not going to create a new model where you create different results. You're going to constantly be showing up in that energy. Okay. Is everyone are you on the page with me? Is it like, well, I don't know, like I can, if you're questioning it, it all goes back to your decisions. Yeah. Angela's like, I'm there. I see it. Sometimes it is hard to see, right? So, but if you're feeling terrible about the way you've been making decisions or the results in your life or how you showed up the last time, you're just going to keep repeating yourself. It's so important for you to understand that no's from other people, right, that you offer your services to, or that you put in an application for, or offer to, sell something, your product or relationship. They don't happen because of the economy or recession or the job market or the amount of listings on the market or that your clients don't want you. I'm trying to think of all the things that people have told me. Or you need to do your lead generation differently. You need to do this particular kind of marketing or sales or advertising. Other business owners have been doing it longer. They have different marketing than you. Any number of rules that you've been following, any number of thoughts you've been having, no's happen because of the way you're thinking and feeling about your past results. Okay. So what would it feel like? Like, how could you decide that even if you've had 50 no's, you've offered your services or whatever 50 different times and 50 people have said no, you still get to decide what you want to think about that, right? You still get to decide. You're like, can't wait to do 50 more, right? That's when we talked about the massive action versus passive action. But when you look at your results and you make them mean something about you, how terrible you were, or you blame them for just not wanting your services or not wanting to work with you, you have a negative feeling. And so you're not going to go out and create a new consult. You don't want to go do more marketing. You don't want to do sales. Sales is another thought many of us have. Like, sales is icky. A lot of people are like, I don't want to be in sales. That's icky. That's because of the way that we have been trained that sales is for. Sales is needy, graspy, desperate. It's finding your pain points and digging in. That is not the way I approach sales, not the way I coach sales. It's a very different energy than a lot of my real estate friends here have been exposed to. And that's why, like, we're afraid to go out and offer our services because salespeople are icky. And I was on the other end of that just this week. And I was in a situation where I was just like, wow, this person was a bit much. And he was pulling out all the sales tactics. And I'm like, you're like, that way tries to take away, it takes away the agency, my own agency to make decisions for myself as the buyer. Okay. So, as the person selling, you don't want your potential client sitting in front of you, like feeling like they have no control over whether they say yes or no, or how you're going to treat them if they say no, all of that. That kind of went off on a little tangent there that wasn't necessarily. I have a lot of feelings and thoughts about the way sales has been taught to me over the years and the way I see it being coached and trained in the real estate world. Very different philosophy. So anyway, looking at your last marketing campaign, if you're like, that marketing sucks, instead of putting your emotions into it, look at it neutrally. Okay. You get to decide how to evaluate that based on math and science and data and numbers and what you just want to do. So often we just keep grinding away doing something in our business because we've been taught that's just what you do, and you just have to keep working harder and grinding. And I want to offer that's not true. That is not the energy with which I'm offering that you can create the results in your life. Okay. Let's see, where are we at? Right. Oh, back to sales. Like, I like to think, instead of like, oh, it's that energy of I need this person to sign so that I can make my mortgage payment or my car payment, or I want to go on a trip, or I'm trying to meet my goal. Oh my gosh. So many people are like, I got to sign this next person because I have a goal. And if I don't go to that next coaching event, that next group coaching thing that I have scheduled, we used to do these in my old brokerage, then everyone's going to look at me and I'll have failed. That is a whole patriarchal concept. I'm not going into the patriarchy this week too much, but just notice when you are driven to create a goal, because you have to be at the top. You've been told a certain way to be, and you don't want to be that way anymore. So, thinking back to your previous results, what are they? Let's look at some common, and again, I still have this board from a real estate class I did, but you can put any business in that line. So common results in a client-facing business, right? No client, 0 closings. More time goes by without achieving the goal, because often we set a goal and maybe our thought is, I've never been able to do that before. Telling you again, that is a toxic thought for you to have. I've never done it before. Well, yeah. No shit, Sherlock. There's so many things in our lives that we have just never done before, but we do them. Think of a baby, like learning to walk and crawl and talk, and speak and do all the things and use a fork. And we're taught for the first part of our lives, it's all about learning and growing and doing new things and how amazing it is, and being cheered on and congratulating ourselves and rewarding ourselves. And then we get to that age, right? Where it's more about you've kind of reached where you're supposed to be in life. And it's like rinse and repeat. And we don't realize that there's so much out there for us, so many possibilities. We cut ourselves off from creating new results in our lives by thinking, I haven't done enough. I've never done that before, right? Or I haven't done enough. I'm not enough. It goes back to that. So, maybe you post something on social media and you get 2 comments. You guys, I work with a lot of coaches too, and I always offer to them, look at some of those $1 million coaches you follow and their social media posts. often there's rarely a comment or a like or a reaction or whatever. That the amount of comments on a post you get offering your services has absolutely nothing to do with your ability to create a new client for yourself, sign a new contract, whatever it is. Okay. And here's some results that you may look at if you are, say, an entrepreneur, a business owner, a commission-based business, a client-facing business. You may make 6,000 one month, zero the next, 20 the next, and then 2K the next month. And you look at those results, make them meet. Oh, my income is so inconsistent. I hear that a lot. It's just so inconsistent. I don't have security and stability. And what I want to offer is when you think that way, the feeling you get is that insecure, that graspy, that needy, that kind of desperate energy that's going to come out in your action line and is going to create inconsistent months. Okay. There is consistency in the inconsistency. And if you allow it to be that way, you create a much more empowered feeling. You have much more power and control over your income. So many people, it kind of makes me chuckle because most of my life I've been had my own business or our own family business. And the our income has always fluctuated, but that's never really been a problem. I would like going to get a corporate job or something where I have to work 9 to 5 sounded terrible. People are like, well, I have the security of that paycheck every week. But what I want to offer is like even looking right now, the unemployment, business is laying people off. This is not to scare people, but just to say, hey, look, there's no, do you think that security you have in that bi-monthly or bi-weekly paycheck or whatever it is, that security you think you have is just an illusion, right? Like, I would think working for a company would be less secure because you're just relying on something outside yourself to create your income for you. Okay. But what if it was all 100% in your power? And when you look back at your past decisions and you're thinking, I've made some pretty crappy decisions before, I feel really hesitant to make new decisions. Notice that, right? And then going like that whole thing I keep saying, like making clients responsible for your results, responsible for the amount of money in your bank account, right? Making your clients responsible. Like that feels terrible as a client, right? When you're like, hey, you really need to buy, like, you could just feel it when they're like, you really need to buy this thing so that, I can get paid. Like, yeah, no, I don't think I want to do that, right? It's just a terrible energy to be in on the other side. So, let's see. I always have bullet points and then I go off on a tangent and then I'm like, what? Okay, so this isn't about creating thoughts that don't feel true, right? It's creating thoughts about your results that are a little less shitty sometimes, right? So what I'd love for you to do is for your homework now that we take everything we've learned this week and start creating, remember we talked about $0 thoughts? Start creating money thoughts, right? How can you create money thoughts? So you can work backwards in the model. So decide, you can have the goal. I think we did this the other day, but you can have your goal. And then if you want your goal to be the result, going back, what are the actions that I could make? That was your homework yesterday, all those actions, right? What feeling would I need to create within myself in order to go out and take those actions or stop doing certain actions, saying yes to things that we really don't want to say yes to, right? Things like that, taking back our own personal agency over ourselves. And then how do I need to be thinking about goal in order to create the feelings and which drives the action to create that goal, whatever it takes, right? Even if it takes 100 no's, Like, would you be willing to offer 100 times, talk to 100 different people to get one yes? Right? Would you be willing to do that? There's no judgment either way. But when you can start getting traction in your own life by changing your beliefs and your thoughts about your business and about money, we talked about money thoughts, right? When you start to get traction on that, you start to create more and more of the results that you really want. You start to trust yourself more. Okay. You start to keep your word to yourself, your promises to yourself. We talked about mini quits this week, like Tuesday at 2:00, you had on your calendar that you were going to send an email to your database, right? Mini quit is not doing that, but how many emails are you willing to send? The more you trust yourself to follow through on your calendar and on your commitments to yourself, most of us are very committed to keeping our commitments to other people and our clients, right? But we are not so great about keeping our commitments and promises to ourselves. Okay. And that's what you'll be practicing here when you start practicing what thoughts that you want to think. Okay. Let me see if I forgot anything. So yeah, for the results, I think that's pretty much it for today. So I really hope that y'all have gotten something out of this week. I know you have. If you've participated in any way, shape, or form, you have changed some kind of thought process in your brain. You have gotten some awareness over what's going on in your life. Maybe you've even created whatever result that you thought about on Monday on what do I want, right? What is the one thing I'm going to focus on? What is my goal this week? What is my priority, right? So taking this model and really categorizing, separating out your circumstances from thoughts, seeing what that thought is creating, even some lovely sounding thoughts create some pretty desperate energy. Especially, I see this a lot with moms, right? We think, oh, I just want my kids to be happy. Such a lovely thought, right? For a mom to think, I just want my kids to be happy. How do you feel when you think that? Feels like a lot of pressure, a lot of responsibility, right? And then when we're feeling that, whatever it is for you, remember, thoughts are like clothes. They feel a little different on everybody, or new shoes. How are you showing up in your parenting with your kids or in your decision making around rules and expectations, right? And I just want to offer, like, no, you really don't want your kids just to be happy. Like we're creating like these little humans that are growing into grown-up humans. They're all humans, but they're going to face adversity in their life. And when they know they have a soft place to land with you, that adversity is a growth opportunity for them. But I think of like the lawnmower parents walking in front of their kids, mowing down all the obstacles in their way to make life easier so they can be happy. And what that happens is then kids don't really know how to deal with adversity. So helping them, using the model with your kids, there's some good books on that. But just using the model with your kids is really good too. It's a good practice. So if this has been an amazing experience for you, that you've learned something, you're like, I can take this and run with it, awesome. If you would like to work one-on-one, meeting weekly, looking into your specific results, what is it you want to create in your life? How have you been thinking? How have you been feeling? What actions have you been taking from all of that? What are the stories? What are the beliefs that were programmed into you growing up from your family, from society, from peers, from teachers? Every once in a while, I find a thought. I'll be like, where did that come from? I'll be like, oh my God, that was my first grade teacher or something crazy like that. They're like, I don't need to believe that anymore. So I am trained to ask you those questions to really dig into, why are you believing whatever it is you're believing that's keeping you from getting the results you want in your life? So feel free to click even just a free consultation call. I offer the free 1-hour consultation call that will transform even further how you're looking. You'll gain so much awareness on your life. And it's no obligation. Like again, I talked about sales. I am here for you. I'm here to serve you. I know that I can help you have a whole different perspective on your life. And really just honestly, I like to say just feel better on the inside. We, process emotions and all of that. Like we learned so much together. But even just that consult call can really change how you're showing up to your life and help you to create whatever it is that you crave for your life. And it is possible. So thanks so much to everyone who was here all week. I'm sorry I didn't record yesterday, but a lot of you were here. It was fire. Next week, the next class is coming up next week. And that's so funny. I can't think of what it is off the top of my head. Let me look really quick. It's a good one. It's a really good one. Navigating challenging relationships through the holidays. The holidays can bring up a lot of stuff, a lot of thoughts in your head and a lot of emotions. So we will be talking about that next week. So I hope you can register. You'll get the link in your email. And thank you again so much for all of you for coming. I appreciate it. And I will see you next time. Hey, bye-bye.